Welcome to eSpace, Sev and Cyn's Odyssey with your co-host, me, Cyn.
And hello, your other co-host here, Sev.
Yeperinos.
All right, what do we got going on today?
We are going to be talking about last night's episode of Game of Thrones, the
Oh
finale.
man, I haven't caught up on that series.
I'm
So.
kidding, I'm kidding.
All right. What's okay? So what's the real subject then? I'm curious.
We're going to be talking E3.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah,
We gave ourselves time to like actually appreciate it instead of like going in
yeah,
hard like everyone else, just trying to
yeah,
do.
yeah. Instead of instant reactions, kind of let it sink in a little bit. I
Yeah,
got you.
I'm not gonna lie, a lot did change in what I thought a little
Oh
bit.
yeah.
Yeah, once I
Okay.
was able to step back and evaluate it a little bit. But
No, that's always good. So how are we gonna do this? We're just gonna run through each of the day's conferences.
yeah, sure. You had the list in front of you, right? With
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, I still have it here. So, okay, all right. If we're doing this in a chronological order, um, EA started on June 12th on Sunday. The first conference, major conference for that was EA.
yeah.
What'd you think of EA?
I don't know. I was disappointed with the first Titanfall, so
Okay.
I'm hoping they can like iron out the kinks because I think with the new game developers and stuff, it
Mm-hmm.
takes time to get it right. Like
Right,
if you
right.
look at even like some of the biggest ones, they have crappy games under their belt. They're just
Mm-hmm.
not as popular because they were crap. And I feel like Titanfall didn't get that exception solely because they were the developers who left Infinity Ward. And so
Mm.
like that was big. And then so when Titanfall came out, everyone was expecting it to be as good as COD 4 and Modern Warfare 2, but it was just not. So
Right, right.
so I'm
See,
hoping.
yeah, I'm kind of on the complete opposite spectrum on that. I am not familiar at all with Titanfall.
Oh,
So I have nothing relevant to go back off of what they showed for Titanfall 2.
yeah.
Um, I mean, to me, it didn't really do a whole lot for me. It just sort of looked like a Call of Duty type multiplayer game, with a few innovations. I guess there was some differences in how the characters moved, and obviously there's like the whole mech aspect. But I mean, overall, it didn't really. I guess do anything for me. It basically looked like a really fast-paced shooter. Similar to Call of Duty, except there might have been just like a handful of advancements, but not enough to really turn my head on that one.
Yeah, I feel you. You know, I could be mistaken, and someone will
Hmm.
probably correct me, but I'm pretty sure they were the ones that got that whole movement of like parkouring and shooting that followed Call of Duty, like that was followed by the Call of Duty games and stuff.
Oh, really?
I know like there was really early iterations like Mirror's Edge and stuff, but I'm
Hmm.
pretty sure that like they were the ones that got that going. Like they were the ones who like they were in the right direction. They just didn't execute properly. So
I gotcha.
they're the originators of what we see, which is kind of cool, but they just didn't do it. And so now we're seeing like the cleaned up version of Titanfall and like all these other games that are coming out. So
Okay.
so
Well, that'd be pretty interesting then, yeah.
yeah.
Uh,
Um
and then for the rest of the day, I mean, there wasn't a whole lot for me in EA. I gotta be honest. The conference as a whole just seemed kind of awkward. There's a lot of awkward moments, a lot of like elongated pauses, a lot of strange things happening, like with that FIFA game. And then they had like one of the actors that does one of the characters in the game, like just stand on stage, like glaring at the guy that was talking about the game for like 10 minutes.
Yeah, it was a bit
Yeah,
awkward.
yeah, there was some like moments with that. I felt out of all the conferences, and I could, thinking back to all of them, I could definitely say that EA felt like the most off.
Oh,
For me, just because of a lot of the people on the stage didn't seem really comfortable with what they were talking about, or forgetting their lines, or making up words, or just weird things happening. it's just like a lot of awkward moments. And then the games that they showed, they're just, I don't know, there just didn't seem to be a whole lot there. I mean, we talked a bit about Titanfall. They showed a bit of Mass Effect, which, I mean, I like a few of the games in the past series. Have you ever played any Mass Effect games?
Yeah, actually I have. I've
Okay.
played some of two.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah, 2 is probably the best one. A lot of people kind of jumped right on board with 2 because that was the most accessible. So,
yeah, and it was fun. I mean,
mm-hmm.
I'm not necessarily keen on the genre as a whole.
Oh, yeah.
But I mean, I would say it was pretty fun. The story's mega, mega, mega in depth, and I love that.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I also know that like there's a lot of parts that it's just the fluidity's not there for me personally. I know
Mm-hmm.
it's a great game, but it's just it was a bit much for me.
A lot of people have had issues with it, especially with, like the third one had like that major controversy with the ending and everything like that. And,
Yeah.
there's been a few things here and there. I think a lot of people said that the second one felt pretty empty in comparison to the first one. I still have to play the first one, to be quite honest.
Hmm.
But I've at least played 2 and 3, and, the new Andromeda one. Sure, I'll give it a shot, I guess. Not like super hyped about it, but,
Yeah.
it's something that might be good. Then just like sports games, like we were talking about the FIFA thing. No interest. I don't care. Madden, don't care.
I thought the new tournament system was pretty neat. How they're going to be
Oh yeah.
doing focusing more on the esports of it. That's pretty huge.
They did, yeah, they did put a lot of attention on that.
And I think that's like really important because like that's where the future of games are, whether we like it or not. But like people just
The whole
proving
kind
they're
of,
the best at them. Like if we look at
yeah.
League of Legends, that's like the biggest esport if I'm not mistaken right now, and like they're
Hmm.
selling out soccer arenas that hold 80,000 people. Like it's the future of games, and Madden is like Madden. The Madden Challenge has been like one of those big underground things, and it's kind of
Okay.
nice to finally see it kind of become just big in general.
And kind of flourish like that.
Yeah.
I got you. Me personally, not really my thing. I've never been into sports games. I've never been really into esports. So it's not particularly my thing. So you could probably imagine during those parts of the press conference, I probably tabbed out doing something else.
Fair enough.
um,
Did you catch Battlefield 1 though from the EA?
I did, I
Yeah.
did. A lot of people are pretty hyped about that, and I gotta say, it does look pretty interesting. I do like the concept because World War I, everybody said it. There's nothing I can say that hasn't already been said, but the concept is somewhat fresh. I mean, we've had the futuristic warfare, we've had the World War II warfare, the modern warfare. World War I kind of seems like one of those things that's generally untouched. And there's a lot of unique aspects about it. The whole trench battle type deals. The terrain, the locations, the types of weapons, and a lot of the systems that they showed for Battlefield One looked pretty interesting. I gotta say, it did. I'm not really a huge fan of these types of like war multiplayer type games that really focus on that.
Yeah.
But that one, I could say it did kind of turn my head. I did it did pique a bit of interest. Is there something about it that are you like excited about it? Or
Yeah. I think I could be mistaken. It could be a World War II game, but there's actually a PC game that I think they should try to mirror as much as possible called Heroes and
hmm
Generals. It's a free to play, and I recommend
okay,
it to like everyone if you haven't. I can't remember if it's a World War II game. I'm pretty sure it's World War One though. And
World War I is hard to find. I mean, the only other one I could think of. I mean, aside from the would you say Heroes and Generals, that might be World War One.
yeah,
I'm thinking like Verdun.
Verdun.
Yeah, so that one's like the only other one, and I think that's just an indie game. That's not like a major studio. I mean, it's interesting to see like a big studio actually tackle
Yeah.
that time period. So it could be interesting. I don't know. Will I get it? Probably not, but maybe. Who knows?
Yeah. I think that it's actually a World War II game. So,
Oh, is it?
but
Okay.
I think like that would be the closest thing I could think of that is Battlefield similar. And if they can do
hmm
good like that game, dude, because that game is fun. It's a free to play game, like
Right.
and they've had time to iron out the kinks. For a small developer, it took them years, but it's good. It's good. So I think
Cool.
if they can do that, keep it fun, keep it light like they do with most Battlefield games, I think it'll just
Hmm.
stack up as one game that gets overplayed for about 2 weeks and then kind of
Yeah.
goes away.
Yeah, maybe, maybe. Only other thing I could think of that they showed at EA was they showed like a few Star Wars. Yeah, or they didn't even really show Star Wars, did they?
They showed that aerial one, and that was sick.
Oh yeah,
That was really cool. It looks like it looks like it, but I don't think that was in the EA conference, to be honest.
yeah.
Uh,
No, it wasn't, was it? That was at Sony's, wasn't
yeah,
it? Yeah.
it
Okay.
was. So aside from
So
that, yeah,
yeah, the only thing I can remember at EA's conference when they showed the Star Wars games was three pictures of games.
yeah,
Yeah, that's all I remember.
there wasn't much.
Yeah, yeah, and you figure with like a major property like that, especially with how big, Episode 7 was, and how like this is really getting people excited. Like, why,
I,
why not capitalize on that? Why not like start showing off some stuff? I mean, they have to be in development of something aside from Battlefront and Lego Star Wars,
those are classic.
which that's not even that's not even them really. That's whoever does the Lego games. But anyway, it's like you would think that they'd immediately be getting on development for something Star Wars related outside of just one game, and we didn't really see it. So,
Yeah.
I mean, that was a little bit disappointing, but oh well. Any more thoughts on EA?
No, I would say that honestly, for what they do, they provided a really good conference.
Okay.
Like for what they are, I mean, it is EA. Like
Yeah.
when have they really brought something that was just shocking on anyway? So
Yeah.
I'd say pretty good job. I mean, they brought at least three games that their core fans enjoy. They have like a Mass
Okay.
Effect title. They have a shooter for those who like that, and they have multiple of those. And they came prepared with the sports games. So
Okay. All
I'd
right.
say
All
they did a
right.
pretty good job.
Okay. Overall, Cynical says a pretty good job. I say disappointing. It was probably my least favorite conference of the entire E3, but that's okay. I'm not a big fan of EA anyway, so who cares? Moving on. No, you guys can like EA if you want to. Don't listen to me. I'm a
You're
jerk.
entitled to your wrong opinion.
Yeah. Moving on. Bethesda was same day, also on Sunday. What do you think of Bethesda? Was there something that caught your attention there?
Yeah, actually,
Hmm.
just real briefly, I love Dishonored, the first one.
Yes. Yes.
I think that genre is never gonna get old, for one.
Hmm.
And for two, I feel like Dishonored, like I don't want to spoil it for anyone because there's just so many little plot points and things that make that game sick. But I
Right.
think that it was so well written and so open. Like you could play the game 4 times and figure out a new way to like.
Hmm.
And
That's definitely what I loved about Dishonored. One, like you said, I think it's along the lines of what you said. I definitely think it's like an untapped, type of game.
yeah,
As far as the gameplay goes, and it seems like something like that you could just do and run on with forever. Because not everyone's doing it. So I mean, as long as they're making Dishonored games, I'll probably play them. But yeah, I mean the whole kind of stealth genre isn't really something that's done very often, and even when it is, it's sometimes it's a watered down version of it.
yeah,
I mean, the only like real stealthy games I could think of is Metal Gear, obviously. So the Metal Gear games, and then you have stuff like Splinter Cell and other things like Hitman. And
yeah,
those are kind of, and the commonality between those is that they're all in third person. They're all third person games. Dishonored does obviously is a first person game,
yeah.
which adds a whole new element to it. Kind of the only other big game that I could think of that has those same elements is Deus Ex, particularly whatever the other one was, Human Revolution. Um, and that's kind of it as far as I could think of, with bigger titles. So it's a really neat type of genre and gameplay aspect wise. Looking at it, I mean that's kind of what attracts me to the series. But like I said, it was really well written.
Yeah.
It's really interesting. The world that they built was amazing.
Yeah,
And it's like
definitely.
when they showed the preview to the second one, I'm just like, yeah, I'm gonna get this.
I like what's happening here.
Yeah, yeah, I like it. I dig it. So yeah, definitely Dishonored 2. That might have been the biggest thing from Bethesda for me.
Yeah. And
Um, yep.
so, what are your overall thoughts on it?
Just Dishonored 2 or Bethesda's conference?
Bethesda's conference.
Oh, we still have a few more things to talk about, I'm sure.
Fair enough.
um,
Fair enough.
um, I mean, not many probably, but I mean, what else did they show? They showed new Quake. I know a few people have been, kind of excited about that just because there hasn't really been a, Quake game in quite a while, and that kind of arena style gameplay is
Yeah.
something that kind of has faded out. Now they did bring it. ID did bring it back with Bethesda for the new Doom, and we all know how that went over. That's like one of the bigger games this year.
Yeah.
A lot of people love it. And one of the things that they went back to with Doom 4 or New Doom is they tapped that arena style fast paced combat that hasn't been a part of I feel like first person shooters for a while. So I don't know. I mean, I was never a big Quake player, but I could definitely understand why people are excited for that. Other things. Here's something that we were talking about. I think in the last podcast we touched on it for a little bit. Was the like the HD remake of games. What'd you feel about the Skyrim Special Edition?
Um, I don't know, man. It's like mods can do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like
Okay.
that's like I mean, it's a draw to the niche market, I suppose, of people because it was a powerful game. I
Mm-hmm.
think everyone has either played it or watched it all. Whether
Right.
it's actually playing it or watching it on Twitch, or everyone has seen Skyrim to a very extensive. If you're a gamer, you've been around Skyrim.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I
So
feel
yeah.
I feel kind of like they know that.
Uh huh.
So it's kind of disappointing because I feel like that effort could have been preparing for the next Elder Scrolls game solely because it's
Right.
best to
Right.
leave things like that where they are. Like, you guys did a great job, but now it's time
Mm-hmm.
to move on. Let's not just keep doing this.
So in your opinion, was it needed?
No, no,
Okay.
not at all.
All right.
Uh,
Yeah, I mean that's kind of how I feel about a lot of these things. We talked about it in the last episode with Last of Us and God of War 3. The only foreseeable thing I could think of, aside from just making a little extra scratch for little effort, is bringing it to a newer console, and that's strictly from a console point of view. Like you said, I feel like there are mods for Skyrim that can do that and more,
yeah,
and make it even look better than what the special edition looks like. Um, but I mean, I guess for console players that never got it or didn't have a PS3 or 360 or something, and now are just getting on board with PlayStation 4 or Xbox One or something, I don't know. I guess they can get it again. I just don't see why it would be incentive for people that have already played Skyrim to want to get it again.
I feel almost as though, and I know this may not be correct,
Hmm.
but I feel as though with the Bethesda conference, um, it kind of felt like that.
Mm.
Because if you look at how large last year's was,
Hmm.
it kind of feels like they had to kind of fill it with stuff. Like, just
Okay.
because, I don't know. It's one of those things where I feel like this was the result of them not thinking as far into the future as they should have, perhaps.
Maybe, yeah. I can definitely see that. I mean, there wasn't really anything new from them.
Yeah.
Uh,
That's what I mean. Like,
and yeah, The Skyrim Special Edition is evidence of that. The one thing I want to mention this real quick though, for I think the Skyrim Special Edition is, I believe they're adding mod support for consoles. So I mean, I guess that's kind of cool.
That is pretty. That'll be actually.
Yeah.
That'll be neat. I think consoles need that. They've needed that since like 2008.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. That with those games in particular, like those types of Bethesda games, like Fallout and Skyrim or Elder Scrolls rather. It's like yeah, that I stopped buying those on consoles early on
Yeah.
just because of like the mod support and how much more you could do with it on computer. So if consoles are even able to get a few steps closer to that, I think that's all the better. So I will say that is a good thing.
Yeah. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Definitely.
However, that doesn't necessarily mean it needs to be implemented on an HD special edition. Like you said, I feel like the resources and the time could have been put. I mean, sure, we might have had to wait a little bit longer, but it could have been put towards a new Elder Scrolls game. Or if we wanted to do an HD version, why not do Oblivion? Why not do Morrowind? Like, what's the problem with like, putting better textures on those games?
Yeah.
Um, yeah, Morrowind was really good.
That game was amazing, dude.
Yeah, I would personally, if there was an HD edition of any of the Elder Scrolls game, I would love Morrowind. But hey, we got Skyrim instead, so yeah, whatever. So yeah, those are just my thoughts on it. But yeah, basically not a whole lot new from Bethesda. Um, the one game that kind of caught my attention was Prey, which is basically a reboot. Um, I've never even played the original Prey, but you could definitely tell that the gameplay style was a little bit different. This was the one where the preview was set kind of like a Groundhog Day type deal. You remember that one?
Oh, okay. I do remember that.
Yeah, and it was almost kind of like the sci-fi horror looking
Yeah.
thing. Yeah, that kind of caught my attention. They didn't show too much of it, um, but looked kind of interesting. I almost thought it was a new IP, and then I recalled, I'm like, oh yeah, wait, no, Prey was another game. It looked nothing like that. So yeah, it's kind of an interesting. I do like that when there's a series where you take it into almost a completely different direction, or at least kind of break the mold a bit.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of excited to see something like that. And then I don't even remember. I don't think there was too much else. There was like DLC at a press conference. I'm like, oh boy.
Yeah, that's why I kind of felt like they wrote a check because they really wanted
Yeah.
to do something big last year, which
Yeah.
but you don't have to do something every year, I don't think.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, I mean, it still would have been nice to do something different. The only other thing I could think of for Bethesda was they had an Elder Scrolls cards game,
I didn't
which
remember seeing that. What
you
was
don't
it
remember seeing
called?
that. I don't know. I think it was just called Elder Scrolls the card game. I don't remember. It might have had a name, but clearly, I mean, obviously, this is trying to back off the success of Hearthstone,
In
no doubt.
Magic.
Well, I mean, yeah, but Hearthstone is, that's the thing that kind of brought it to the forefront,
Yeah,
as far as, digital computer games go.
definitely, definitely.
So, I mean, this just seems like, a way to capitalize on that. Thoughts?
I don't
No?
know. I feel like not necessarily. All I have to say with that is, if someone did something great, I've always been the firm believer just move on. But I feel like if for marketing, that doesn't
Yeah.
happen like in the real world. Most people are like, "Ooh, that was a great idea. Let's copy it." But
Right,
I
right,
feel like,
right.
in my opinion, Hearthstone's Hearthstone, dude. Let's do something better.
Yeah. Do you think it would be successful?
No, no. I feel like it'll have players because
Well,
everyone.
I
Yeah.
mean, look at it this way: Elder Scrolls Online. That's obviously capitalizing off the MMO thing. That has like 2,000 players in it max.
It did have a lot for like because they marketed it well for hype, but it didn't have lasting value because
No.
I mean, you're copying someone. You're never gonna
Hmm.
be as good at. That's like one of the 48 laws, right? Never follow in a great man's shoes. Like it
Yeah.
it applies. You just can't do that.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
It's you can't do it. But
Yeah, I pretty much feel the same. I don't see that this is going to go anywhere. I don't see what you know, I don't know. But yeah, they could do what they want, I guess. Overall thoughts on Bethesda? How'd you feel about it?
Um, I can honestly say I feel like for their time in, they're doing the best they can, and they'll get better as time goes on. So
Hmm.
I'll probably say like if I rated them, maybe like a 7, because they were proficient, you know?
Okay.
I mean,
Okay.
I've seen a lot of worse conferences,
Yeah. Yeah.
like
Okay.
gaming and non-gaming related. So I'd say like they did average for what they
Okay.
are, you know?
All right.
For a third-party developer company like that,
Mm-hmm.
definitely. They definitely did better than what I've seen at times. So,
I agree. I agree. I thought they were middling at worst, but overall pretty average. I wasn't blown away by necessarily anything. We've already seen a little bit of Dishonored 2. It was nice to see more of it. But I kind of already made up my mind as to whether I was going to get it or not, just because of the first one was so good. Everything else was just kind of like, yeah. Like I mentioned about Prey and a couple other things. There was some stuff that caught my attention a little bit, but overall, nothing like that really wowed me. Like I wasn't like, oh man, this is the next big thing. Um, so yeah, I agree. Pretty average. Nothing spectacular, but not bad. Not bad. All right, let's move on to the next one then. We're delving into Monday, June 13th, which began with the Microsoft press conference.
oh boy,
Oh boy,
they did have a lot of
indeed.
good stuff, I will admit.
Is there anything in particular you want to start off with?
Yeah, Gears of War, dude.
Okay, all right, all right.
Like, have you played the other three?
I played two, I believe.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I love, I love those games, dude.
Yeah.
They are just, they're so wrong, they're right. I just love them, man.
Okay,
Yeah.
alrighty.
I mean, I don't know. I probably think that one is just instantaneously a classic. Um, Past that, they kind of got less and less good, but it's one of those
Okay.
series that starts off so strong. By the time you get there, it's still pretty good, you know? So,
Mm-hmm.
Gears of War, it's always been one of those series, in my opinion, that it's a staple for Microsoft, and I feel like it, it's time. That's the best way to put it. It's like
Yep.
it's time, dude. We've been waiting for a good Gears game. It's time, man.
Okay.
So,
What I saw from it, I mean, it kind of looked like more of the same for me. Just obviously a little bit better, with age in the series.
yeah.
Obviously, they're gonna up it up a bit, up their game a little bit, and nothing too revolutionary for me. I have played one of them, never really got into the series, but I could definitely say that they're fun, and they really kind of perfected the whole third-person shooter
Oh yeah.
genre. So you definitely got to give them credit for that. Gears of War 4. I'm not gonna buy an Xbox One for it or nothing,
No.
but I mean, but I mean, definitely looked like for fans of the series, I would say you probably have fun with it. Um, and then there was quite a few other things. Was there anything else?
Yeah, Forza. I mean, those
Okay,
games,
okay,
dude, I mean, they're not fun by yourself. They're
okay.
great social games. So if you play online or
Hmm.
if you play like split screen local, those are very fun games. And I think one thing that people kind of sleep on with Forza
Hmm.
is the fact it's realism.
Yes, yes, yes.
If you have like a nice TV
Hmm.
and you have a nice big TV, buy Forza. Like, there's no better experience if you're into racing simulation, and it's one of those games where you'll have people over and they'll just sit and watch just because it's so beautiful. Racing
Right.
simulation games have that. They're just beautiful games. Like it's something you would honestly put on the screen at Costco. That's why I love Forza.
Just to
It's just
display it. I
and
gotcha.
the sound engineers behind those games are like godly.
Right.
It's so
Yeah, no, I've never actually played a Forza game, but I have seen one before, and yeah, you're definitely right. It is quite a spectacle.
yeah, and it works. And I think that that's something that if I did get an Xbox, like I mentioned, I'm not going to for like you mentioned, I'm
Hmm.
going to for just a couple small titles.
Yeah, it's not gonna make you go out and buy
No, but
the
if I
console,
had
but
one, I would definitely buy Forza. I actually had Forza for my 360 for the longest time. Like
Oh wow.
They're fun games, man. They
Hmm.
are. But they don't. But like I said, you can't play them by yourself, and or else
Yeah.
it'll get old quick.
Yeah, it's kind of got to be a social thing. I got you.
Yeah.
Um, let's see. There wasn't a whole lot I could think of that really caught my interest. I know that they showed stuff for Killer Instinct. They showed a preview for Tekken 7, which I'm a fan of the Tekken series.
Oh yeah. Fighting games
Uh,
are fun.
yeah, I think they showed the preview had Akuma fighting Heihachi, maybe. I don't remember exactly the details, but a Street Fighter Tekken crossover. We've been kind of waiting for something like that to happen outside of the crappy Capcom made game. So I mean, could this be it? Maybe. I'm sort of looking forward to it. Not as huge into fighting games as I used to be, maybe like 5 years ago, but kind of piqued my interest.
Yeah, I hear you there, dude. I'm kind of the same way. They're hard games to learn, but they're fun.
Yeah, yeah, they're very fun. Just not competitively. You get too into it.
That's how you lose friends, dude. Tekken,
Yeah,
Mario Party, and Tekken, dude.
yeah.
Easiest ways to like never talk.
Even Smash Brothers to a degree, I think.
With items on, definitely.
Yeah, yeah, no kidding.
If items are on, dude, someone's going home without a friend.
No doubt.
What did you think of that We Happy Few? Did you see that?
I did see that. I was gonna mention that actually. It looked interesting. I gotta say. I wasn't really expecting it. I hadn't heard about anything from before, but watching the preview, I mean, it kind of gave me flashbacks of BioShock, particularly Infinite. Kind of had the sort of similar art direction, and yeah, I mean, it looked pretty interesting. That it was like these people take pills or something to kind of make their world seem more glamorous than it actually is,
Yeah, it
and then
felt
the reality ends up being pretty grim.
yeah, and you're right. It felt like a mix, like that steampunky, like
Yeah.
BioShock feel. That's why I kind of was at first. That's why I was like, I'm glad that we kind of gave it some time because when I first saw it, I was like, I wrote it off because I was like, you're kind of ripping off BioShock.
Right.
But after I watched it, I was like, this actually is kind of cool. Like,
I think, yeah. I mean, I think it could potentially be an interesting game at the very least the concept. Whether or not the gameplay will be or not, I don't know. How to what lengths it's gonna happen. I mean, I'm assuming you're getting chased by authorities and whatnot, but how long can you keep up with that type of gameplay? But I mean, just in concept alone, I think it's something interesting. So that one did kind of pique my interest a bit.
yep. I can agree.
Um, there was quite a bit. I mean, not really anything that really wowed me that I could think of. I mean, a lot of sequels. There was a lot of sequels.
Yeah.
I mean, we already talked about Gears of War and Forza and Tekken. I mean, those have like numerous titles behind them. We Happy Few was like the one thing I can remember that didn't have something behind it. There was like kind of an original IP. We have Dead Rising 4. I think there was State of Decay 2.
Ooh, the first one was good.
State of Decay.
Yeah.
Never played it,
I
so
think
I'm not too
can you
sure.
get it for PC? I'm not
Yeah,
sure.
yeah. I know it's on Steam. I'm
I would
almost certain.
definitely play it.
Okay.
It's like the Walking Dead games, like from Telltale,
Mhm.
but like more open world. So it's good.
Okay.
It's good.
Interesting.
I wish they would have focused. I think it's kind of how that works. Sometimes you
Yeah.
either get a short game with a great story, or you get a long game with not so great graphics. And I think it's like a healthy in between.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of where they were because they're not a huge
Okay.
studio. If I'm not mistaken, like the division that worked on that,
Yeah.
I don't think it was a big division. So,
Alrighty.
it's a great game though. So I think two, if they can like iron out the kinks, I think that could be a pretty epic game.
Could be. I remember hearing not a whole lot of great things about the original one, like glitch wise, and
Yeah. It was
So,
broken.
yeah, apparently, but the second one, I mean, if they can, like you said, iron out the kinks, then it could probably be a pretty good game. And then like other sequels, I think Halo Wars 2. I mean, none of this is really tickling my fancy, so to speak.
Yeah, the whole Halo RTS didn't really work for me, but a lot of people did
Yeah.
enjoy it. So
Yeah, I mean, it definitely has its fan base, so I'm not gonna like shit on that, but just saying, not really what I'm into. We did see a handful of original things. Rare is working on a game. I don't know if you saw that one, the Sea of Thieves, with
no, I didn't. I missed that.
the totally not fake real life actors playing it. It was it was kind of awkward. I don't know. It seemed kind of like a multiplayer co-op experience of which we've seen these types of games before. But you have like a pirate ship and you go off raiding things, and each person on the ship has their own key thing that they work on. I don't know. I mean, I guess it's kind of nice to see Rare working on a game, but Rare's not what it used to be. We all have like these memories of Rare, you know. Donkey Kong and GoldenEye and Perfect Dark. And then
Oh
remember,
man.
oh yeah, that was 20 years ago.
You were good 20 years ago.
Yeah, the studio is not where it used to be. So I mean, who knows? Who knows? But nothing really new from what I saw in Sea of Thieves. Just kind of borrowing other types of gameplay elements and slapping a pirate theme on it. So, um, one thing that got people excited, I don't really know why. I don't know if it's the studio behind it or the director or the game itself. I'm not too sure, but it was Scalebound. Did you see the preview for that?
Is that the one with like that giant dragon?
Yes.
Yeah,
hmm
I did. I thought it looked pristine.
It looked like visually, it looked good.
Yeah.
I didn't see like the gameplay like wowed me any. Um, like a lot of people are just like losing it over this game though, and I just kind of don't see why. I mean, it doesn't really look.
Amazing.
Yeah, it doesn't. It doesn't really look all that amazing gameplay wise. I mean, it kind of looks, kind of average for that type of game.
Yeah.
I just didn't see anything that really wowed me. And then you have like this like too cool for school like DMC Dante looking character. Which didn't. I mean, I don't really want to play as like douchebags, so it's like that kind of was like a turn off for me. But I'm like, all right, whatever. The whole big enemy thing, that was cool back in 2005. You know, but it's it's been done so much that I just don't really get a thrill out of it.
Maybe that's meta. It's like
Maybe, I don't know. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe if someone can explain that to me, like, is there something that I'm not seeing here? Why people are like freaking out about this game? But for me, I kind of don't see it. But that's totally me. So I don't know. You agree? Or
no, I definitely do. Yeah.
okay, all right. Yeah, I don't know. I don't get it. But I just remember, after the fact, after the conference, everybody seems to be like really into it, and I'm like, oh, okay. I mean, granted, I didn't like look into it, so maybe there's something else, but who knows? Um, oh boy, what else was there? The only other thing I could think of is Gwent. Did you see that? Another card game?
Yeah, I didn't. That was the one to The Witcher, right?
Yes,
Yeah, I
it's
did
the
see
Witcher
that
card
one.
game.
And
Yeah, thoughts on that one?
I think it's neat, like the way they did it, like the way
Mm-hmm.
they presented it, but like no, the announcement trailer was amazing, dude. But
Yeah,
like, I don't know, man. Like, come on. Like I
yeah.
said, you can't. Like, why? Why make card games? Like, that
Yeah.
that feels like the direct result of a bunch of suits sitting in a room saying, "There's this many people watching and playing card games. We got to tap into that market." It's like
Yeah.
that market's already been
Yep.
tapped because those people are already there. Don't try
Mhm.
to steal someone else's thing because it's already been done amazingly. But
Lightning in a bottle,
yeah,
basically. I feel like stuff like that is almost always a one-time thing. and it's hard to get back on that. But yeah, I feel exactly the same way. I just don't really see, one, the need, and two, why why it would be, why they would think it'd be like any at all successful. I mean, The Witcher, these two franchises that have these card games now, The Witcher and Elder Scrolls, they're big. They're huge franchises.
Yeah.
But is it going to be enough to attract their audience from one type of gameplay to something completely different?
No.
I mean, yeah, I don't really see it happening, like diverging your core audience, because that's what they have to go for.
Yeah.
They're backing off of the name. They're not backing off of the gameplay.
No, definitely not.
Yeah, I mean, Hearthstone fits that need. It's like if people that were into card games wanted to play card games, they'd probably play Hearthstone.
Yeah, and the thing is like, I feel like a lot of these, like, that's a topic for a whole new podcast, but they Blizzard has put themselves in such a unique position from the start to be able to do what they want. They could make a sports game that people will play because they know how to deliver it, because they take time and they know how to make great games.
Right.
I mean, these card games are just following the niche of someone else setting the path, like.
Right. They're basically just copying off what's successful.
I mean, Gwent would probably be as in-game. It would be dope if it was in-game already for The Witcher 3.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, if you go into town and you play Gwent, that would be sick.
Who knows? It might be. I really haven't delved too far into the Witcher games just because they're so detailed. But they do have the capacity for that. It might be. I don't know. Maybe Gwent is an actual game.
Now,
probably is.
That would be amazing, dude. Like, that would be super sick.
Right. And it could be because it's such a big game that that they have like these little mini games, and they're so detailed that they could support that. And it might be, but I don't think either of us have really touched a Witcher game all that much.
No, I haven't.
Yeah, unfortunately, I mean, I have the second and third one. I got the third one free with my graphics card. I got last year, but I just haven't had the time because I know they're just such huge games that it's too daunting for me to want to actually delve into it. So, I don't know much about the series. I know that it's really big. It's really popular. They're really good games. But it's like, a card game. I just don't, I don't know. I don't see it. It really does just seem like it's capitalizing on the success of something else and not much further than that.
Yeah.
The last thing I think we have to talk about with Microsoft is the console stuff.
Yeah,
the
hardware.
Our hardware talk.
Yeah, they have that new customized controllers. I think that's pretty sick.
Okay, I think they did that last year, but they showed a little bit more this year on it.
Yeah, I think so, right? Yeah, I think you're right, yeah.
Yeah, I know for a fact that they did customizable controllers, but I think they just there's like a extra step further with that, like with the colors and everything like that. Kind of ugly in my opinion.
Well, you can make a beautiful one.
Yeah, you could try, given the palettes that they give you. But all right.
Yeah, it's like millions of colors to choose from, right? Like, I think
don't
it'll
know.
be cool.
I don't know the extent of it, but yeah, I mean, yeah, that's something that's a little bit different. It's that little extra detail that some people might want. So I mean, that's pretty cool. This is the first conference I've seen though where they announce a new piece of hardware, a new console, and then at the end of it announce another hardware, another console. Yeah. No, the what did they call
Project
it?
Scorpio?
Yeah, Project Scorpio, and then what was the other one? Was it S?
Oh yeah, you're right. They
Yeah.
did. They they released like two things.
They did, yeah. There's two consoles in one conference.
Huh, I didn't even think about it that way.
Yeah. So it was like they did the S, and I'm like, all right, yeah, that's like next progressive step. And then at the end of it, then they didn't really show it as much as the S, I don't think. Although they didn't show much of
Or
the S either.
pixels. I remember that being the thing.
Oh god, yeah, no. What did they say? It was yeah, we got to talk about how ludicrous that statement was. I don't remember the exact statement. Was it high quality?
It was like
highest...
it was something like that. It was like,
yeah, I got to look it up now. Like highest quality pixels.
I still find it kind of. I like how like most companies veer away from that solely because they know that.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. No, it is. Okay. That is what they said. They said like these are the highest quality pixels that anybody has seen. What does that mean? Do they know what a pixel is?
And I'm like, I'm sitting there like, no one's done that because they're
That
not dumb anymore. Like you can't play the whole quality
yeah,
card anymore with PC becoming as popular as it is.
right,
You
right, right.
cannot play the quality card, man. Like
No.
that's a bold one.
No, well, especially when they say it like that. You can't. How do you make a pixel higher quality? It's a pixel. You can't. You can't. What do you mean the highest quality pixel? It doesn't make any sense.
Dude, they were going for the memes.
Yeah, I know.
They were going
Yeah,
for the
we're
meme.
bordering on meme territory now, but it's so stupid. Like it doesn't mean anything. Anyway, but yeah. So I mean, okay, new hardware. We have the budget version, obviously.
The
Which,
budget.
yeah, the S budget version, which anyone on their last leg always does, a year into their console's lifespan. But yeah, and then we have the Scorpio with the highest quality highest premium quality pixels. Um, I don't know. It's like, on the one hand, I guess it's kind of nice if you want that, but like you said, if you want a high quality something or other, why not just like build your own PC? I mean, here's the thing: we don't have a pricing point on this.
Yeah.
And Sony announced, they didn't show it at E3, but Sony announced their new PlayStation 4, which is almost essentially the same thing as a Scorpio. It's a higher, it's a beefed up PlayStation 4 basically. It has a better processor, and whatever, graphics, GPU maybe. I don't know the details on it. The thing is, we don't have a pricing point, so we can't. I don't think we could honestly like criticize it one way or another. If it's cheap, I mean, hey, I guess that's good.
Yeah, that's true.
If it's only like a couple $100s more or something like that, that's not bad, I guess. But I got a feeling that this isn't going to be like really a cheap thing. Since you're paying for high quality pixels, I mean, surely they must be doling out the big bucks for it. I don't know. So I can't really comment on it one way or another. I find it odd that they would do that, considering how big PC gaming has kind of taken off over the past decade.
Oh,
Uh,
yeah.
yeah, so it's like, I don't know, but all right. I'll just give them the benefit of the doubt and say, okay, good on you, good on you. Any additional thoughts on
No, I mean, I feel like
Xbox hardware?
I do kind of feel like to an extent they aren't necessarily I don't know. I don't know the best way to put it, but basically it doesn't feel like they're I feel like Microsoft needs to step it up a little bit,
Okay,
just solely because that's kind of where games are going. And they're
right.
relying on like old ways a little bit. And it shows
Microsoft has been
itself.
pushing hard. Yeah, I think they're definitely attempting to do that. They're really trying to get in line with Steam. And they're adding their Windows 10 support now. I don't know how many people bought into the whole Windows 10 thing, but I mean, I personally didn't. But I mean, that is a thing.
Yeah.
They're making a lot of their exclusive titles compatible for Windows 10. So I mean, it's a step in the right direction, I guess. But you know, yeah, I think I don't know that the new hardware is going to do anything major, and it's not going to like change. It's funny, they had the video with the developers that totally weren't paid or anything to say these great things about it. But they're talking about how they can design games with limitless possibilities because of the higher capable hardware. And it's like, with a lot of those developers, I mean, they're doing that anyway with PC.
Yeah.
And then when they come to the console version, they're just like, okay, let's like downgrade this.
Let's just
And
port.
yeah, basically it almost seems that way. They develop a game with like to almost the highest extent, and then have it available on PC, and then when it comes to the console version, unfortunately, just because the hardware can't handle it, they're just like, all right, let's tone it down. But then they in the video they act like, oh, this is gonna open up new doors for us, and it's like, I just don't see that happening.
So opening up more doors that were.
Yeah, I know. You're just opening up, yeah, the closet. And you got a little extra space, a little extra leeway. But all right. Overall, what would you say about Microsoft?
I will. I'll slap a disappointed.
Okay.
And I don't know, dude. I feel like while they don't have the best catalog of exclusives, I feel like that could have been a bigger focus.
Yeah.
That's kind of
Hmm.
what how other developers have been winning so much is solely
Yeah.
by just exclusivity.
Yeah.
You know which word I'm looking for.
Yes. Yes.
And I
You're
mean, they don't
close.
have the best, but they have Fable. They have like games like
Right.
that can
Right.
actually be pretty great, but you just got to do it. You just got to pull the trigger on it.
Yeah.
And heck, I mean, if you don't, start buying the rights to some neat stuff, you know? Like,
Right.
I mean, it takes,
I think they tried with Rare, but they just
well,
they just couldn't do it.
there's a reason even Nintendo was like, sorry.
Yeah. Yeah.
You
Probably.
gave us Banjo-Kazooie, and that was dope, but it's time for us to move on.
Right. Right. Right.
But yeah, so I'd say disappointed. I mean, it was an okay conference. I mean, definitely some neat stuff, but just kind of a bit
Hmm.
disappointed. Uh,
Yeah, I'd say I probably feel the same. More exclusive content would have been nice. Didn't really care about the hardware. Didn't really care about like a lot of the interview stuff. The camera work was phenomenally bad with that conference in particular. It kept zooming out and showing the audience. It's like why are we not looking at the game again? Why do we have to look at the stage effects and look at people sitting down? I don't understand. But aside from that, it had its ups and downs. I would say it was, kind of average to below for me. Didn't do a whole lot with a lot of the games, but not the worst I've seen. So an I can give it.
eh,
That's my score. That's my score
you
for
didn't even throw the
Microsoft.
M on. It wasn't even meh worthy. It was
No, just an
worthy.
just an All right, we got a lot to go, so let's try to get through these. Next on the day we had I don't remember if it was PC or Ubisoft. We could skim through PC real quick. Why don't we do that? PC conference wasn't really much of a conference. I like how they kept the audience dark, so you don't see like how little.
How few people were
Yeah,
there.
a few people there. It was probably a smaller building, so I'll just give them the benefit of the doubt. But I don't know, the whole talk show format thing was just. Ugh. I will say that it was better than last year. Yet last year, and I don't like to use buzzwords, but it was really really cringy. Just how bad it
The
was.
cringe.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it is kind of a bold move for PC gamer.
Oh, no doubt. Yeah, no doubt. I mean, here the thing is that with PC games, you have a lot to go on, but then you get like some dopey looking guy that looks like an intern, and you put him behind a booth, making like really bad jokes and like interviewing people as if he's like a, Stephen Colbert or Conan O'Brien or something, and it's like, nah, that's not really doing it for me. um, they had a few games. I mean, I remember some stuff like they showed off a little bit of Dawn of War 3, 40 Warhammer 40K game, which I like the original too. So like, I mean, that's cool. They had some hardware stuff, like they showed like a new GPU from AMD, which was funding them. So why not?
Yeah.
um, I think they had a few indie games or something like that. There ultimately wasn't a whole lot memorable from them for me. Was there anything that you remember catching your attention for
No,
PC game?
that was the problem. I think we had that discussion a little bit before.
Yeah,
I
yeah, we
was like,
kind of did.
man, I
We were like,
remember
yeah,
like
we were.
kind of
Okay,
watching it,
so
but I wasn't interested, you
right,
know.
give a little insight on our audience that's listening. Yeah, we were trying to find the conference for the PC game or like information or a summary or something. We could not.
It was bad.
Like, yeah, like I guess no one liked it enough to actually want to record it. So.
It was bad. It was real
Um,
bad.
okay, so PC gaming conference. Honestly, I would say from what I remember of it, it wasn't bad. It definitely wasn't as bad as last year's. Last year's I was just scratching my head in disbelief at how horrible and horrendous it was. This one wasn't bad. I think they really got to ditch the talk show format. Personal opinion. I don't know if anyone likes that, but it was just like Mostly it was just kind of like another for me. So whatever.
Yeah, and you're right. I mean,
Yeah.
PC has such an abundance. That could be
Hmm.
the biggest conference in a few
It
years.
could. It could. Yeah.
I mean, you could literally just have like, okay, for an hour we're talking indie games, and then for the next hour we're talking developers that are going to be bringing. You know what I mean? That could be a
Hmm.
massive conference.
Yeah.
Massive.
I think they're getting there. It's just they're not there yet.
Yeah,
So
and I'll be patient. I'll wait.
yeah. Yeah.
All good
Okay.
things take time.
Yeah. So not terrible. Not the greatest we've seen, but whatever. Moving on in the day. Don't know if it was chronological or not. I don't recall. But Ubisoft.
Okay.
All right, Ubisoft. Anything that you recall from there?
Yeah. There was that. Dang it. I'm forgetting the name of it. I'll just go with the one I do remember off the top of my head, which was Watch Dogs 2.
Okay. Okay.
Um, the first one, I mean,
Did you play the first one at all?
I didn't play all the way through the first one.
Okay.
I played it at a buddy's house, and then I ended up watching the rest of it.
All
So
right.
the story was pretty awesome. The gameplay, I think it's more fun to play than it is to watch for a game
Right.
like that. But I will say that the story, not
Yeah.
bad. It's not. It's.
Okay.
I feel like they do an excellent job at like telling almost a theatrical story
Hmm.
over the course of 8 or 9 hours, and I really do appreciate that with their games. It does feel kind of Assassin's Creedy with a new skin, but you know what?
Right. Right.
They
Right.
they figured out a way to make it unique, and I like that. So I will say that that one looks pretty freaking amazing.
Okay.
Um,
Anything about two that the Watch Dogs 2 that kind of turned your
honest,
head in that regard?
honestly, no. It kind of felt
Okay.
like one, but
Okay.
I don't think that that's necessarily a bad thing. None of the
Okay.
Assassin's Creeds, you never played those for new, like truly new mechanics. You
Right.
kind
Right.
of
Right.
played for the progressing story,
Hmm.
and they may have thrown in like better battle mechanics, like they polished the game as it, but they never like tried anything gimmicky. And I
Right.
feel like that's kind of what Watch Dogs is doing. They're focusing on what people liked
Hmm.
and ironing out the kinks and the things that we thought were neat, like,
Right.
and that's all I can ask for a game like that. I think that they picked a perfect theme that no one's messing with right now,
Okay.
and I like it. So,
With me, I haven't played the first one either. I watched streamers stream it. They did have a slew of problems with it. Particularly the PC version caught a lot of flack. It got really bad PR when it first came out. So that kind of turned me away from the game. Like I was like, maybe I don't want to play this. Uh, one of the things that I'm liking the look of too is there's a bit of a tonal shift. It seems to be taking itself a little less seriously than the first one, in my opinion, from what I've seen.
yeah,
And I like that it kind of has like almost a sort of lighter feel to it. I think it'll definitely lend to the series with that. I do like the location better. I believe it's in San Francisco.
yeah, it is.
Am I right? Okay. Yeah, I do like the location of San Francisco. I think that's an interesting place that really hasn't been explored with open world type games. Nowadays they're doing it in all sorts of cities.
Yep.
San Francisco, I think, is a neat choice. And I honestly do think it has a potential to be better. I know the first one caught a lot of flack for various reasons. I won't go into detail. But I from what I saw with Watch Dogs 2, it didn't like wow me. I didn't feel like I was particularly amazed by it. But I did think that it could potentially, from what I saw, be better than the first one. And I think, just from that, I think it definitely kind of a step in the right direction. All right, so there were a few other things with Ubisoft. They had quite a few big titles. Did you see that Ghost Recon game, the Wildlands?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
I didn't see it during the actual conference. I saw it
Mm,
later, and I thought
okay.
that looked pretty awesome.
I thought it looked kind of interesting too. You know what it looked like to me?
What was that?
It looked like a Metal Gear Solid 5 co-op.
Yeah, it kind of does have that like feel to it. I
Yeah.
can't put a word on it, but it kind of does. It has
Yeah, the
like
gameplay. It seemed really similar. I mean, you're in this vast open area. I mean, it didn't help that it was like in a largely desert type area, but so I
yeah,
mean, you're like in this desert type area. But there's these big facilities. You go in, you mark, people, and then you kind of choose how you want to approach your infiltration of that, and you have to use stealth and stuff like that. Granted, the totally, real players that they showed in the preview. I hate it when they do that. I really do. It's like if you're playing co-op game with your buddies, it's like, are they honestly going to be saying "Tango down, Tango down"?
and Ghost
You know,
Recon,
and
yes.
I don't think so.
Dude, okay, and I'll only say this for one reason. I have played Ghost Recon
Right.
with people that take it way too serious.
Okay.
Um, I it's one of the few games, Advanced Warfighter. I remember playing hours of Craw, and
Mhm.
that was one of the only games where like people would actually have like designated dronesmen,
Right.
and like it was like people.
I don't doubt that people will
Yeah.
get into the game. I just don't think that they're going to be sitting there talking about terminology, especially if they're friends. They're going to be talking about what they had for dinner, what they're going to be doing, what kind of crap happened to them at work, how tired they are, how they
Fair
wish they
enough.
had another beer. They're not gonna. No, they're not gonna. I really don't think they're gonna be getting into the whole military talk. That's too bullshitty in my opinion.
Maybe it'll happen with this game. That's
I
what
don't know.
the vision
Maybe.
is.
Either way, the game looked kind of interesting. I gotta say. Like I said, it did look, kind of Phantom Pain esque. It's just that you're in co-op instead of just individually going in.
Yeah.
Which I think could have been a great thing for Phantom Pain, but obviously it didn't have the development time that it probably needed. But oh well. Moving on, there's several other games. They had a big section for South Park. Fractured Butthole. Did you see any of that?
Yeah, I'm like I didn't get to play Stick of Truth,
Mm-hmm.
so I doubt it'll like taper off, but I didn't get to catch much of it. I think it'll be
Okay.
pretty neat though.
I did play Stick of Truth just recently. I streamed it. That was probably one of my biggest streams. A lot of people got really excited for it, and I could definitely see why. It was a great game. It looked and sounded, and it was you're basically playing the show. I mean, it really, you couldn't have gotten closer to the show's format than that, which I think is what anyone would want out of a South Park game. Just be like you're a character in the show, and you get to choose what you want to do. But it honestly did. I mean, it was really simple. It was kind of a short game, but it did have really good gameplay mechanics. Um, and I mean, the Fractured Butthole looks like it's taking a sort of a different, like it almost had like this kind of RTS kind of look to it, maybe, or like a more of like a strategic as opposed to RPG.
Yeah.
Which I think would lend itself to the whole superhero theme. But I mean, the customization and stuff like that. I mean, it just looked really good. So I gotta say, I'm pretty excited for that. Um, and then they had Matt Stone and Trey Parker on there, and they're always great. So that was good. I was pretty excited for that. What else? Did you see the Star Trek thing, the VR?
No, I heard everyone talking about that.
Okay.
It was like the bridge crew, right?
You're right. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I didn't see much of it, but I was hearing
Okay.
people talk about how it kind of looked a bit like Star Citizen.
Oh, okay.
Is that the one I was thinking of?
Maybe.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. I think so.
But just like with a little bit,
It,
yeah.
it looks interesting. I think. I mean, here's the thing: you have to have friends for this. Friends with VR, and they have to be into Star Trek on top of that. I would think. So this is a really kind of a niche crowd, but I mean, I think it did look kind of interesting. I think it would be great to have a VR Star Trek game, and just have people at their posts. I mean, that's kind of the thing about Star Trek is it's always just kind of a team conglomerate effort in order to overcome various things. So, if it could at all replicate stuff in the show, I think that could potentially be pretty cool. They had a few people playing it. I think they had like Carl Urban and I can't think of his name right now, Jordy LaForge. But yeah, LeVar Burton. And they were playing it. They seemed to have a good time and seemed pretty genuine about it. So I mean, it looked kind of interesting. I don't really have much else to say about it than that. But yeah, it was neat. And for a Star Trek fan like me, I think that could definitely be something that could be cool. Did you see the preview for Honor?
Is that the that medieval game that looks like super epic?
Yeah, kind of. I think there's like three different factions, and they all lend themselves to like different time periods. One of them's like a Viking faction, and then one's like a samurai faction or something like that. And I think one's like a knight faction. And it was like it's set in the third person, and I don't know, like sword battles and like lots of fighting and whatnot.
That's gonna be neat, dude.
I gotta say, I hadn't heard about it like at all. I think it was shown last year, but I totally missed it. Um, the guy presenting it was like way too into it too, but I mean he was kind of funny. So it was like this old guy with a beard talking about the game. But I gotta say, it looked pretty interesting. I did kind of like the combat system, like the whole deflecting and guarding thing.
Yeah.
It almost kind of looked like Dark Souls ish. Maybe not quite as freeform, but it was interesting, and I don't know. It looked kind of cool. Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, no, I can't. I didn't see it during the actual conference. It was one of those
Hmm.
games I had to look up later.
Okay.
But I did feel as though, dude, that I love that. I'm a huge fan of that time period, I guess you could say,
Okay.
or whatever you want to call it. Like, I
Yeah.
love like that form of battle. Oh
Right. Right.
man,
Right.
it's just so like,
Sword and shield or whatever.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
just
Or just
so.
melee combat.
Oh, I love it.
It's invigorating. I gotta say.
It
Playing.
felt I don't know if you recall that launch title for the Xbox One. It was like a medieval. No, it was like it was supposed to take place in like Rome or something, but it had like a real
Oh
battle
yeah.
feel
Yeah.
to it. And that's initially what I got, but then I got like even better feelings when watching this one. So,
Yeah, I know which game you're talking about. I can't recall the name of it. You're right though. I think it has like Rome in the name or something. I don't know. But yeah, it kind of did look a little bit like that. I never played it. But it did look better. So for a game that I'd never heard of, seeing it For Honor looked pretty interesting, I gotta say. For me, I'd say that's about it for Ubisoft's conference. Was there anything else you could think of that you wanted to mention?
no, I mean, usually I'm just gonna be honest. Like with third party developers,
Mm-hmm.
I tend not to like focus as hard.
Okay.
But I thought it was great. I really did. I think that they did better than last year
Okay. Yeah. I feel the same way. I
because
think
they
they
were
did.
just trying to fill it with jokes and stuff last year,
Oh God.
and it
Good
was
Lord.
like it was
Last year was bad.
it was cringy, dude. Like,
Yeah. Yeah. There's that buzzword again, but really, I mean, could not be any truer. Oh my God. The cringe levels were peaking. It was so bad last year, and I think they had like a swearing quota. Like you have to fill the show with this many f bombs, and say say this many like obscenities, and it's like this year I felt like it was a little bit more tame. Um, Aisha Tyler wasn't as like annoying. She said some weird stuff, like she's talking about like peeing in her pants and stuff like that, and I'm just like, no, just calm down,
she's trying to hit the
please.
niche audience, man.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know. And she's talking about like boners and whatnot, and I'm like, just go on to the next game, please. Let's not indulge this. Um, but yeah, it was better than last year's Ubisoft conference for sure. One thing I thought was weird that they did like the Assassin's Creed movie thing. I mean, I understand it. Obviously, Assassin's Creed is like one of their biggest properties, but like doing like a thing on the movie, I just don't know. I don't know. It seemed off to me. I'm like, but I mean, other than that, I would say it wasn't a bad conference, and there was a few things in there that actually kind of impressed me a little bit. So overall, I'd say it was pretty good. Pretty good. Okay, so let's move on to Sony.
Oh man,
This
you're
was
talking to two
the
Sony fanboys, dude. Like,
right.
I mean, I hate to admit it, but dude, I love Sony. Like, sorry guys, this is where it's gonna get biased.
I mean, yeah. Well, I mean, let's just say it right off the bat. Sony blew us away. I
Yeah,
mean, really.
and it always does, and it always will. I just,
Yeah. I mean, not always. I mean, I feel like Sony 5 or 6 years ago wasn't as doing as good, but like the past few conferences that they've done at E3 have been really something else.
I don't even remember. Maybe you're probably right, but I've always
Well,
like,
okay. Let me. I don't want to spend too much time on this because we're like going way over time. But
it's a special episode. We're
I mean,
fine.
it's a special episode. We could go over a little bit. But okay, so like a few years ago, Sony, they were. You remember like the whole LBP like charts thing? They were talking about like stockholders and and like monetary things about the consoles. And
I do
where
remember that. They
proceeds
were talking
going
about
and
how
stuff like
much
that.
the game is sold. Like, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so
That
that's what Sony press conferences used to be like. They used to be a lot of numbers talking, stuff that no one cared about.
I do remember that. Holy crap! Where like we've noticed that you guys like, or even like when they were talking about the Vita and stuff, or not the Vita,
Hmm.
the PSP. Like, there's this many in this part of the country of people that play this, and I do remember that.
Yeah. So they definitely had a low point. Um, and what's funny is I think people just automatically just like to shit on Sony. I remember I was in a live chat, in several live chats when I was watching this. I watched all of Monday's conferences live at the day off of work, so I was like watching. I watched straight through Microsoft and Ubisoft and all that, and I was with a lot of people. Sony opens up with an orchestra, okay, and they're doing their music piece, and I was
Which was
watching this
epic.
with you live too. It was, but people were complaining about it. They were like, "Where's the games? Where's the games? What are you doing, Sony? Where's the games? Why are you showing this crappy music?" And it's like when the conference starts, game after game after game after game after game after game, nothing but games. Very little talking. This is something that like none of the other conferences do. Everyone always, pulls out, like we were talking about with Aisha Tyler and the cringy jokes with the PC game, weird talk show format. Everyone has to do like this interview. No, Sony didn't do that. They just showed you games. That's what E3 is about, pretty much. And it's like, that's what I couldn't have wanted anything else. And I thought the format was definitely cool. I really liked and enjoyed the orchestra and how they played orchestrated music for each demo. I thought that was amazing. I didn't even know it was part of it. It sounded so good. You were the one that pointed it out to me.
Yeah, I was like, dude, they're still playing. Dude,
Yeah,
they're still playing.
they're playing the music for the previews, and I'm like, holy shit, you're right.
It was amazing, man.
Okay, so conference opens up, orchestra. First thing you see is just like this preview of like stuff going on in the woods. Don't know what it is. And then you see Kratos, and then you're like, oh, God of War, okay. It's a little bit cutscene-ish, and then you see that it opens up, and it's a live demo, somebody's playing it, that it opens up into a completely different perspective. Now, for players of this franchise like you and me, obviously we know that the God of War has always been one type of gameplay, which is like the kind of fixed camera overhead hack and slash.
Yeah.
How do you feel about it going into a new direction?
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Like I'm proud of them because it has to evolve, dude. Like,
Yeah.
dude, I will forever remember the day that I got platinum trophies
Right.
for the game. Like that will forever. But I think it's time to move on, man. If you want this series to evolve, you got to evolve it. You can't because it would be a very repetitive thing to just.
It's a repetitive thing, but it's a common thing. Everyone does that. Like
Yeah.
no one changes the gameplay style like that.
Yeah, and that's why I was proud.
I think this is a pretty big move to completely change. Now people, give it flack obviously like everyone does. Oh, this is just, Last of Us with the God of War skin, or this is just Uncharted with God of War skin, or whatever. Hey man, whatever works. It's something new. if the series had continued like it was going on for a long time, it's gotten, in my opinion, it's gotten too stale. I played Ascension, I think was the last one.
Yeah,
More of the same, nothing new. Didn't really feel that sense of wonder that I got out of the other ones. Um, Seeing a brand new type of gameplay style, that alone has kind of like reignited my interest in the series, I gotta say.
definitely.
So yeah, I'm pretty excited to see the series take a step in another direction. Um, Thoughts on what's happening in that game? This is strictly because we played the game series before, but any idea what might be going on there? Do you think it's a reboot? Do you think it's a continuation?
No, I'm thinking it's they have to tie in the story, right?
I don't know. I would assume so. You want me to say what I'm thinking it might be?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. I hope it's not a reboot. If it is, I guess whatever. But the when the troll thing attacked him, I like mentioned Valhalla.
Yeah.
That's definitely a Viking mythology type deal. What I'm hoping it is, and this might not be it, but he had the white skin and everything. That is an integral part of the story to the
Yeah, it
first game.
is.
So I mean, I would think that if it was just Kratos in a reboot, he wouldn't have the white skin, unless they explained it some other way. I don't know.
Yeah, and in Ascension, I don't think he did.
I don't know. I don't remember the time period Ascension took place in. I think it was already after that, but I don't remember.
Yeah.
Either way, I would think it's a continuation after 3.
Hmm.
I think that what they kind of did at the end of the first game was that they kind of said, and they kind of nixed this because they didn't really know where they were going with the story, but they kind of said that how through the ages Kratos remained the god of war for everything, for like any mythology. What I think would be neat is if, okay, at the end of God of War 3, he opens up, Pandora's box is opened or whatever. Hope rains down on Earth as it's in, ruins
Yeah.
after the big battle with the gods and everything like that. Society tries to rebuild itself, but without Greek gods, these other ideologies and mythologies form. So you have like this Viking mythology forming. What I'm thinking it might be is how Kratos becomes a god of war for like the Vikings or something. Which
That would
which
be
I
kind
think
of
would be cool.
sick.
Yeah, yeah. Take it in a different direction where he becomes a god of war for something that's outside Greek mythology. Let's do Viking mythology or something like that. Um, and I really do hope that it's a continuation of 3 because I do like the story and where they've gone with it so far. So I would think it would be cool just to continue from that, as opposed to a reboot. Reboot seems kind of hackneyed. I don't think they'd do that, but I don't know. I can't say for sure. But yeah, God of War, pretty
That's a
excited.
good hypothesis.
I mean, it could be. I really haven't read too much on anybody else's. So if there's been any new developments, like they've stated what's actually going on, I don't know about it at this point, but I don't know. Could be. Um, Really big stuff. We could go through the list. The next game they showed was Days Gone. Any opinions on that?
Days Gone. Okay, I'm kind of wondering which one that was.
Biker, open world,
Oh,
zombies.
oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was kind of okay. I will say this before I just say it's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of am. I'm kind of. I'm kind of like. How are you guys gonna stay away from like Last of Us-y
Right,
slash?
right, right. I mean, a lot of people, from what I remember during the live chat, a lot of people thought it was a Last of Us sequel.
Yeah, it
And it did look like it.
it kind of reminded me even more of a game called Alan Wake for the Xbox.
Okay,
Do you remember
yeah,
that?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I'm familiar with the series.
So it's like, I'm like, it'll be cool, but it kind of feels, yeah.
It did. I mean, I think the zombie thing has kind of been run into the ground at this point. The gameplay did look interesting though. I am a fan of open world games. It did look like it heavily borrowed elements from other types of games or stories and stuff like that. So it didn't catch my interest to the fullest extent, but it definitely was something that might be good. So I might be on board for that. But yeah, I don't know. Next thing, Last Guardian. Now this game has been in development hell for years.
Like since '09, right? That was when the first trailer was.
I don't know, probably, or maybe even earlier than that. Shadow of the Colossus came out for PlayStation 2. That was the last game in the series. Not too long after that game, the Last Guardian was revealed to be in development, and since then it's just been, year after year has been disappointment after disappointment. We actually got a release date this E3 at Sony's conference. Is it what everyone's been expecting? Will it be a dated game? Probably. I don't know. Could be, but it's coming out.
Do you think it'll be dated?
It could be, yeah. I mean, visually, it didn't really look as impressive as some modern games are.
Yeah.
But I mean, for fans of the series, I mean, this has been so long coming that do we really even care about like visuals at this point? I mean, so
Yeah, I don't think so. I think people are just like, come on, please.
yeah, we just want it. And I was a fan of Eco, and then really big fan of Shadow of the Colossus. One of my favorite PlayStation 2 games, hands down. So another game in a similar style that potentially loosely carries the story. I mean, I'm down for it. Regardless, I don't even remember the exact date. I think it was sometime in October, but yeah, definitely getting it. So pretty excited for that. The next game I think they showed was Horizon Zero Dawn. Any thoughts on that?
I don't know. I don't know, man. I don't know.
They showed this game last year, and it didn't really impress me all that much. I'm just like, kind of like, it looks like like a conglomerate of a lot of other things.
Yeah, and I don't know. The gameplay was sick with like I don't know. It felt like if Brave was like a game.
Yeah, it kind of did look like a Brave Girl a little bit, yeah.
And like even the colors. Did you ever notice that? Like
Yeah,
it
yeah.
just had that vibrance of like a Pixar film, but like more gory. Um, I think you're kind of right. Like big battles like that, they're
Hmm.
not as fulfilling as they used to when we were younger.
Right, right.
And I feel like they're trying to hold on to that still because it feels great in a trailer, but when you
Hmm.
actually play it, it gets repetitive.
It does, yeah. What they showed in this preview looked a little bit better than what I saw last year for me personally. It's still, I don't think I'm on board with it though. I don't know if it's something I'm gonna be like wanting to get. Didn't look bad, but it looked so much like other stuff aside from the thematic elements like the cyber animal type deals
Yeah.
that I just don't know if it's gonna be enough. I really don't. Um, but okay, I mean, there's so much other stuff here. Let's move on. The next game that they showed was Detroit Becomes Human. I don't know if it's Becoming or
Oh,
Becomes.
that's that what you call it studio.
Yes.
Oh
Yeah,
my
that
God.
what you call it studio. I don't yeah, their name escapes me at the moment too, but yes, them.
Oh my God, dude. They make some amazing games. They made Beyond Two Souls. They made
Hmm. Heavy Rain.
Heavy Rain. Goodness, dude.
They make very gripping story-oriented games, and
Quantic Dream.
yeah, Quantic Dream. That's it. And this looked no different. Um, and I was telling you when we were watching this live, it's like, dude, I love detective games. You and me both played L.A. Noire. This gave me vibes of that.
Yeah.
And story aside, I didn't really like how that game ended. Story aside, gameplay wise, as far as like the whole detective thing goes, and when you're like interviewing people, or this guy's a negotiator, so it's kind of the same deal. Um, I really love having like those options and seeing how people interact with certain things and trying to like dig up, the truth
Yeah.
out of like all the stuff going on. So that particular type of game definitely appeals to me. I can understand how it's kind of a maybe not as broad an it wouldn't reach as broad an audience as other games.
Yeah. I could see that.
But I mean, it looked interesting at the very least. And if they give you like the amount of freedom that they proposed, I mean, hey, it could be a really great game.
I could agree, man. They've never. I don't know. I know with Beyond Two Souls, they didn't get as much reception as they
Mm,
did with Heavy Rain.
Right,
but
right.
I don't. They don't make bad games, dude.
The game was still received pretty well, from what
Yeah,
I remember. So
they just don't make bad games. They know what
yeah,
they're doing, dude.
yeah, yeah, and they definitely are have a really unique take on their games.
Yeah.
And I think that's a really cool thing because you every time a game from them comes out, it's something that is really just intrinsic to them, and it's might have elements of other games, but it's really just you definitely get a sense that it's their game. So yeah, pretty cool. I think that might be something I'm interested in. Next thing they showed didn't show what the title at first. Like a lot of their games, what they do is that they'd show the gameplay, and then they'd reveal to you at the end what the game actually was. So you have like this creepy looking house, picking up items, lots of ambiance, lots of like horror type things. Looks like PT, looks like Silent Hill.
Yeah.
And then at the very end, they reveal it's Resident Evil 7. What do you think about the new take on Resident Evil 7 or the Resident Evil franchise?
I think that they have. I think it's time that they show people how it's done. And I tell you that I say that because there was this huge boom where Resident Evil kind of just fell to the back burner, and everyone and their mom was making horror games. You have the Five
hmm
Nights at Freddy's, you have this knockoff one, you have this one, that one. You have like a bunch of horror games have come out, right? Over the
hmm
last, I think it's time that with the boom of VR, because horror games are going to be epic on VR if done right, right?
Right.
With the boom of VR and the great storytelling ability that they are capable of, like I've yet to play a game better than Resident Evil, the very first
hmm
one. Like, dude,
for that particular genre.
yeah, like
Uh,
it was scary, but like in a storytelling way.
right.
They didn't have to rely on like jump scares. So if they can
Yeah.
say,
Yeah. Yeah.
okay, we'll show you how to tell a great story and scare the crap out of you in both ways that you like, it's gonna be iconic. You know what I mean?
Mm.
I mean, I can. They kind of did drop the ball a little bit for, in my opinion. I mean, um,
6.
yeah.
Yeah. No kidding.
But I mean, they can make it up here in a big
I
way,
think they can.
and it felt like they were.
This is the same thing that they're doing that I feel like with God of War. Um, it's rare that you see a studio take a completely different direction for a game franchise. Um, and a lot of times, the companies will just, or developers will run a series into the ground because they don't want to mix it up too much. Resident Evil needs it. They needed it bad.
Yep.
Like really, really bad. What a lot of people don't remember, I don't know if it's just a younger audience nowadays or what, or maybe people just forgot, was original Resident Evil games. You had the fixed camera and everything like that. When Resident Evil 4 came out, people pitched a goddamn fit because it was a new type of gameplay. They didn't like the over-the-shoulder, third-person shooter. It was not received well by old fans of the franchise. But you know what? That game went on to influence pretty much third-person shooters from then on. That game was so important to the industry, Resident Evil 4, from so many different aspects, from storytelling, from gameplay, to mechanics, everything. Will Resident Evil 7 be that? Probably not. I don't see that they'd have it in them to do that again, but you never know. And it's definitely a step in the right direction. The franchise was getting stale. 5 I felt was a lot weaker than 4, although it was fun. It's definitely a fun co-op game. You and me both can attest to that.
Yeah, it was. We played
Yeah,
a crap ton of that game, dude.
I know. Five was a good game in a different regard. I think 6 lost everything that was good about 4 and everything that was good about 5. I think it just dropped the ball. I don't think 6 was a good game at all. People can argue that with me. I don't care. I did not have fun playing 6. I really didn't. I couldn't finish it. And it was really disappointing. But I feel like this series had gotten stale, and they kind of revamped it a little bit with the Revelations games. One for the 3DS that
Oh,
was
I've never
ported.
even played those.
Yeah, they're a little bit closer to like the first and four, as far as the tone and genre is concerned. So they were taking that in a step in the right direction, but this is completely different. Um, it will have VR capability. Obviously, that's what they kind of showcased it, and then they launched the conference into a lot of VR stuff. But it's also just going to be a standard game that you can play without the VR, which I think is good. And I played the demo for it. They had the demo released, I think that same day or the day after, and it was really cool. Lots of ambiance, really unnerving, and kind of had me on edge for the entirety of the demo. So I think it's definitely gonna be cool at the very least.
I noticed the PC release too.
Yeah, probably. I wouldn't be surprised given the fact that they're porting it to VR, so it's probably going to be compatible with like the Oculus and the Vive and
Oh
stuff. So
God, that'd be so
yeah.
fun.
So I'm excited for Resident Evil 7, regardless of what format or whatever. I'm just glad to see that the series is getting some much needed rejuvenation.
Yeah.
Like seriously, because it's such a good series. Resident Evil is just like one of those games, one of those franchises that really is something special, but it just kind of degraded over time, unfortunately, and it's slowly been building itself back up. And I think this might be the coup de grace, but who knows? So yeah, it could be good. It could be good. Next, they had a bunch of VR stuff. Want to run through this real quick because they really didn't show too much.
Yeah, I think one statement we both had that sums up the VR section is it looks
Mhm.
like it's so early in development. They know they had to put something out, but it kind of feels fixed cammy. Like everything was either a rail shooter or like not very extensive.
Yeah, yeah.
So
I get what you're saying, and not necessarily fixed camera because you could definitely probably look around.
yeah,
I'm
but
assuming, but more like linear, like really linear gameplay.
yeah, and I don't think that's bad.
No.
Because you know what? They need to grow. Everything needs to grow and it has to start somewhere, but I feel like I'll wait till it grows.
Yeah, same here. I mean, the thing is that a lot of these things I feel are mostly just going to be like glorified tech demos,
Yeah.
in my opinion. Which they might not be. Maybe they'll be full fledged. We just didn't see much of it, and from what we did see, it just didn't seem like full fledged games.
And I don't think they will. I feel like, and I could be wrong,
Hmm.
but I feel like even with motion controls, Sony was smart enough to know they needed to throw their hat in the ring to please a certain audience,
Yeah,
but they also were wise enough to know not to invest too much money into it because it's a gimmick.
for sure.
And I
Yeah.
feel like they're doing the same thing with VR.
So that's how you feel. Then you feel the VR is almost sort of like a gimmick
Oh,
at
of
this
course
point.
it is.
Yeah.
And I mean, everything that everything feels like it's going to be around forever. But
Yeah. Yeah.
when the Wii first came out, that felt like it was the next big thing, you know? Like
Right.
VR, bro, you're not going to be able just to sit there and play a game. But at the end of
Mm.
the day, that's why like the core mechanics of video games are never going to change, but there'll always be neat stuff like VR that comes and spruces it up when you kind of get bored sometimes. And
Yeah, I think that's true. I feel like VR will add, some new experiences to the game, but will it overtake? Will it be the staple of games? Nah.
yeah.
No, I just don't see it happening.
And I think if it would have, Nintendo's Virtual Boy would still be, like it would
Yeah.
have kept
Yeah, they
some
would
of
have
it. Like it
kind
would
of
have
kept
just
up
grown
something like
since
that.
then.
Hmm.
I mean, it's just one of those things, but I think it's amazing. I think VR is super cool. Like,
I'm more and more when I think about it, I'm sort of tempted into getting some sort of VR device. But like we're saying, it's at this point, it really is just kind of a gimmick, and in the end, will it be worth it for maybe a few hours of a new experience? I don't know. I'm really kind of on the fence on it with it still. So, yeah, a lot of the VR stuff that they showed Battlefront. They showed a preview for Batman, not actual gameplay. Though I hear that there was actual gameplay at the actual show. And then they had a demo for like the Final Fantasy thing, and then obviously Resident Evil. I mean, it looked kind of cool, but did it make me want to like go out and get a PlayStation VR or whatever? Not really. I didn't feel like it necessarily enticed me that much.
Yeah, I hear you there, dude. Like it didn't. Yeah. I never want to say anything like bad because I feel like I could be wrong, you know.
Okay.
But I feel like it's just it's neat. That's the way I'll
Right.
put it. It has its
Yeah.
place.
Yeah, yeah, it does. I know some people that are already on top of that VR. They think it's like the most amazing thing ever, and it's really cool. But for me personally, it's just like at the moment, it's like, yeah, I think I'm gonna wait either for a price drop or until like fully fledged, like actual games come out that are legitimately good and more than just like a handful, like two or three. But yeah, that's kind of my opinion on that. Next down on Sony's conference, they showed off the Call of Duty games.
You know what was funny about that?
Hmm.
You're like, dude, this looks different. And then you're like,
Yeah,
wait a second, is this a Call of Duty?
yeah, yeah.
So they may be doing something right with this one. Who knows?
Who knows? I mean, I don't know if it was like actual gameplay or not. It did look different though. I remember messaging you when we were watching it. I said, is this a Call of Duty game? And you're like, I don't think so.
Yeah, dude.
Infinite Warfare actually did turn my head, I gotta say. And this is coming from someone that does not really like the Call of Duty series. I've not really ever been into it. But when I saw the demo, I'm just like, huh, that looks kind of fun. Um, I don't know if it's gonna make me want to get it. I've been actually considering it. I'm like, will I get this? Maybe. I'm definitely a sucker for sci-fi.
Yeah.
And this, is obviously Infinite Warfare is set in a sci-fi setting,
Yeah.
futuristic setting. And they showed like dogfighting and space battles and all this stuff, and it didn't look bad. So I mean, maybe the pacing of it seemed different to me than other Call of Duty games. Like how I was saying how like Titanfall 2 felt, just like Call of Duty, just like with a couple added on things. The pacing for the demo for Infinite Warfare didn't really seem that way to me because it actually confused me. Like I'm like, this isn't Call of Duty, is it? And I'm like, oh, maybe. Oh, yes, it is. Oh, okay. And then it was somewhat of a pleasant surprise. But I don't know. So they showed that, and then they showed the Modern Warfare Remastered. Any thoughts on either one of those?
I think
Infinite
you already know
Warfare
how I feel
Remastered?
about that, dude.
Oh yeah, no, I've talked to you about Modern Warfare Remastered.
Oh,
So
that's like I'll grow a beard in my room for never leaving just to play that all the time, dude.
okay,
That's all. I think that was one of the greatest games of all time. Like the
it was
story
really
was
fun.
good.
It was really fun.
Ah, oh man. It's just that's a good
I get,
game.
yeah, I gotta say that was one of the Call of Duty games that I played all the way through, and I really actually enjoyed the campaign for that.
Yeah.
And I know you enjoyed the campaign, and I know you really liked the multiplayer as well. We even had a couple like local sessions. I
Yeah.
had some fun with that. So.
It was one of the few where like split screen was balanced. It was
Hmm.
good. It was good. I just hope that they can maintain that. Because when you remaster something, you lose something sometimes. But
Hmm.
we'll see.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm gonna get it. I might, especially if you end up buying it. But yeah. I mean, it's if they were to remake any one of them, I feel like that one was probably the best way to go, because it's definitely one of the best in the series. Okay, so let's talk about this for a little bit. They showed Crash Bandicoot, and they had a little silhouette in the shadow walking across the thing. Everybody was thinking there's going to be a new Crash game, new Crash game, new Crash game. Skylanders. How do you feel?
Uh, Skylanders is. Have we had a podcast about that? Because I know we've talked about it. We
Hmm.
have when we were talking about Nintendo and Amiibos
Yeah.
or Amiibos, and I feel as though Skylanders would be absolutely dope. Like,
Okay.
but I can't. I feel like there's an age limit on Skylanders, dude.
Yeah. Yeah. I got you.
I mean, if they could make like an adult version of that, I would.
Uh-huh.
I would. Oh my god, dude, that'd be amazing.
So I'm not as familiar with Skylanders. I'm not really too into it. Regardless, whether Crash is in Skylanders or not, they did say that they would remaster the first three games from the ground up. Those are the key words there. Now, I talked to many of people that were just peeved that there was not a new Crash game, and then how there would be no new form of Crash. And I said, well, they're having the remastered. And they're like, yeah, that's just it. It's remastered. It's just going to be some new textures. No, they said from the ground up. That implies, reworking everything. Just making it similar to the original. I mean, it will be essentially the same game. It's just like reworked. I mean, if anything, that's like a step in the right direction if people are looking forward to like a reboot in the franchise or sort of like this reinvigoration of it.
I think that's a smart move. Like, if Sony's
Mm-hmm.
really doing it that way, getting the remasters to kind of build people's appreciation for the series, like kids that have never played Crash,
Mm-hmm.
getting to get the remaster, get them knowing who Crash is, Coco, Cortex, Tiny,
Right?
like
Yeah.
selling them on the story, and then they drop a new. Oh my God, dude!
Yeah.
If they did an open world Crash Bandicoot, I'd lose it.
It would be cool. I would like to see. I'm not as attached to that series as say. I think I was a little bit more of a Spyro fan.
Yeah,
We all know that series is dead.
not in my heart.
But yeah, but I would like to see a Crash game. But I think a remaster is a good thing, especially if it's being completely reworked. I mean, this is not a simple reskin. This isn't Skyrim, HD edition or whatever it is, special edition. This is a complete reworking of the original games, and this could potentially, I mean, there could be new locations, new characters. They'd probably add in better voice acting, maybe new gameplay mechanics or something like that. So, I mean, there's potential to almost be, like, practically be a new Crash game. So, I mean, I think it's something to be excited about for fans of the series. I'm probably going to get them just because I'd like to revisit them again and see what they've done. So, yeah, I think it's pretty cool, regardless of whether you're a fan of the Skylanders thing or not. I mean, it's not being exclusively moved to Skylanders like say Spyro was. It's more, he's being added, but then he's also retaining his own franchise. So I think it's a cool thing to do. Um, okay, so. Next really big thing. Conference kind of came at a standstill
Oh yeah.
after, yeah, after they showed the Skylanders thing, and I think they did like one other thing, and then it was like boom,
The best part, Lego Star Wars: The Force Awakens, dude.
yeah,
Oh my God, that blew
I
me
know it
away,
doesn't
dude.
look great. I mean, I can't wait really to play Finn, as in Lego form,
Oh
and
God,
just take off in the Millennium Falcon and build stuff. Oh man,
dude.
yeah,
Oh
yeah.
my God.
Especially with all the audio clips that they just took straight out of the movie. Didn't even bother doing anything new with it. Okay, really though, there was a point after Lego Star Wars where the conference kind of came to a halt, and then you see like this, white light. The curtains open up in the background, and the man, we see him there, Mister Hideo Kojima.
Yes, sir.
Yep, and yep, he's back. I think he was gone from E3 for what, like 2 3 years,
Yep.
and yeah, showed off his new game, or the preview for it at least, teaser trailer, Death Stranding. What did you think of that?
I mean, he's good at building hype, dude.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, like, cause I watched it and like, there's already, I don't know if you've looked, there's like
Hmm.
theories
Yeah,
brewing.
yes, yeah. That happened as soon as the preview hit.
And I've never
People
seen
were already
someone know how to
analyzing it.
build hype like that. And I think the statement I made to you was like, dude, this could be like, what did I say? I said this could be like the series that he wasn't allowed to make that has just brewed in his mind.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, dude, that like he's probably, I could be wrong, but I feel like there was an obligation to Metal Gear that he had
Hmm.
that maybe he wanted to do something else at some point, you know? And I could be
Maybe,
wrong.
maybe.
And I'm thinking that if that was the case, and this has been brewing in his head for umpteen years,
Hmm.
something crazy is gonna happen, dude. Like this game could be so just amazing. Like I don't think it, like in my mind, I'm not
Right.
thinking that this is something that he just whipped together.
Okay.
I'm think because like if half of the theories I saw online are even remotely correct, he put so much time just into the trailer, you know?
Right. Right.
And the reason I say that is because like with video games, you have to create every second of the trailer. It's all
Hmm.
animated. So that means every detail that goes into the trailer is something you want to be there.
Something I had thought put behind it.
Yeah, and I'm
Right.
thinking that like if that's the case, this thing is
Yeah.
gonna be nuts, dude.
Yeah.
Like that'll be so amazing, but I
For
don't know.
sure.
I
For
could
sure.
be wrong.
What were your initial reactions when you first saw that? No. No looking at hype.
Oh,
No. No fan theories. No nothing like that. When you first saw it, what did you think?
I thought kind of like Interstellar,
Okay.
and I was
Okay.
like, dude, like I didn't know what to think. Because
Right.
like when you
Right.
see it, you're like, what is this?
Yeah.
It's like just enough to know it's like a Metal Gear, like not Metal Gear, it's a Kojima game.
Right. Right.
Like
Right.
you know it's a Kojima game. It was just I don't know, there wasn't a lot to it, but it was like the
No,
perfect
there
amount.
wasn't. It was definitely interesting. It was the thing I just was thinking when I kept seeing it was what the hell am I looking at? It was so bizarre and slightly unnerving and just flat out weird that I mean I almost couldn't like wrap my head around it. I'm just like what is this? I don't know what to I still don't really even know what to think about it. Um, and it's like I definitely think it's going to be interesting. Gameplay wise, it's got me really curious. I don't think for as long as I'll be into games that I'll ever forget that preview. I really don't, because it was just that strange and just that memorable
It's like an
that
art piece.
yeah, it'll stick with me forever. There's a little image I have here that
Marcus Reed's butt. Just
no,
kidding.
no, no. So yeah, it's just like that. That was my reaction. I'm just like, yep, that's about sums it up for me.
You're gonna have to post that in like the graphic to show
Yeah,
everyone.
no. As everybody knows what I'm talking about. It's like,
Oh
yep,
my God.
yeah. So I'm like, that was yeah, that was weird. So, yeah. So that about sums up my thoughts on it. I definitely think it's interesting. I have looked at a few of the fan theories, and there's a bunch of little details and stuff like that, like the little things that are hanging around Reedus's neck, whatever that is, and the full analyzing of all that. Stranding being a term when you're talking about Cestus stranding, when whales beach themselves or marine life beaches themselves. So what does that mean? Is that death stranding? Is that death remaining stagnant? Is there no death? Are you stranded on something? I don't. So and then it's like then you have the four figures in the air. It reminded me of imagery of like Prometheus, which is just incredibly surreal, and it's very strange. It definitely piqued my interest. I just don't know what the hell it was I was looking at. So that's my only thing. I'm just like, yeah, that was definitely weird, but I'll be damned if it wasn't like at least thought provoking.
God.
Yeah, so I don't know what the game's gonna be like. It was just a teaser trailer. People already have their opinions on it. Oh, this game is gonna suck. Oh, this is pretentious. Oh, this is amazing. Oh, this is this, that, and the other. I don't really think we can say anything on it. It's just it was impressive to look at visually. It looked really good.
Yeah,
Like
we've
you'll
come to
never get.
expect that from him.
Yeah, I mean Norman Reedus will never look better in video game format. At least at this point. I mean, heck, that was a really, really good render. It's just like we just don't know what it is, and we don't know what the game's going to be like at all. And they haven't even chosen an engine for the game yet, so that tells you how early the game is in development. This is probably going to be 4 or 5 years before we see the game. So I don't know. But yeah, I'm hyped that Kojima's back. I'm glad that he's working on a game. I just don't. I kind of don't have an opinion on it other than that was weird and it was kind of cool and it's piqued my interest. So
Yeah, it was like perfect.
Yeah,
It lets you know he's doing something, and I think that's what we all wanted. Like
I
we
think
knew,
that was
but
I think that was the main point behind it, and possibly to give some. He actually, I think he said on Twitter that he did lay some hints in like the posters and in the previews and stuff like that. So there's thought behind it. It's not just like he like pulled this out of his rear and just said, "Oh yeah, here you go." There was some thought behind the preview, so I think it's cool. But I think the main thing was just to show that, hey, we're working on this game. It's a thing, expect it, get hype. And I thought it was cool just for being that. Didn't know what it's about, but I'm excited for it. So yeah, and that almost wraps it up. We have one more thing. Which is Spider-Man. Did you see the preview for that?
Yeah. It was I don't know. It kind of felt like I thought it was something. Well, blah, 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 blah. It felt like something else.
Okay.
When I watched it, but I just couldn't pinpoint it. It didn't feel like a Spider-Man game almost. Oh, it felt like Infamous almost.
Yeah, maybe.
I know it was from different developers, but it kind of did feel like an Infamous game.
Yeah, it's still a superhero game, so at least it's kind of on the right track. What was I going to say about this? It's going to be independent from any of the films or anything like that. So it's going to be completely original. What I've heard proposed, and I think this would be an amazing idea, is that this is the first step, the first game in a Marvel game universe. How amazing would that be? We have the Marvel Cinematic Universe, which is, pretty amazing for what it is. Nothing like that has been done up until that point. How cool would it be, for every few years for there to be a really well-developed, well-thought-out video game based on a Marvel superhero, and then at some point, maybe there'll be like a game that has like you could choose your character out of a handful of them or something like that. But I just think that proposition alone kind of has me excited for it.
Yeah, I think if they put it to the quality of a Marvel film, yeah, dude, I'm game. And it's an exclusive, right?
I believe so. I believe it is exclusive to PS4. I don't know for a fact, but I have heard it. People say that, so I'm just gonna say it is.
Because they did that in the past with Spider-Man also, didn't they?
I know. Yeah. I think. Well, no, never mind.
I thought it was Spider-Man. It was the one it was like.
I don't remember honestly. I was gonna say yeah, but then I remember they released like a ported version on the N64 that wasn't as great.
Oh, okay.
And then I know that the ones like the Sam Raimi movie ones have been on Xbox and PS2.
Yeah,
so.
I thought the one for PS1 was but you're probably right that they did.
The second one, the sequel might have been an exclusive.
But I think that you know what? Do it, man. Do it.
Yeah.
I mean, the same people who like did Ratchet and Clank and stuff, the Insomniac, I think they can do it. They could pull it off. I mean, Sunset Overdrive wasn't great, but I think they could pull it off.
I hope so. I mean, I've always loved a lot of the Spider-Man games. I think he's a great hero to make a game off of.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah. So I think I don't know. I'm excited to see a new one, and if it's independent of the films, I think that's all the better.
Yeah.
Because movie tie-in games we know aren't always that great. There are exceptions. I do think that some of the Spider-Man movie tie-in games are actually pretty decent, but they're just so constrained sometimes. They always have to veer off and tie into the movie somehow. To have something that's completely developed independently of that could potentially be something like really, really good. So I think it'll be cool. And then the other neat thing that they did at the very end of Sony's press conference was they showed like a montage of like all the other games that, you know, sadly maybe not have been as big or as important to warrant their own like full-fledged preview. But there was some stuff that they showed in there. You know, they actually showed a Persona game at E3, which I don't know that has been done before. So there was a little clip of that. They had clips of like Gravity Rush 2, Yakuza, like all this other stuff that doesn't really get a whole lot of press.
Yeah.
So it was neat that they like threw all that stuff in there. Rumor has it that they were supposed to end on Red Dead Redemption 2, or the Red Dead series.
Yeah.
The next sequel in that game. And it's been confirmed that Rockstar has been working on it, so there is a Red Dead game coming out soon. The thing is just that in the preview, this was like right after the Orlando shooting. In the preview, apparently, like one of the characters walks into a bar and like shoots up the place. So they were like,
they could have built epic
not...
hype by doing that.
Right? Yeah.
They could have dovetailed off the hype, bro.
Yeah, right.
I'm gonna stop. I think that's kind of insensitive.
So they kind of just like veered off of that. They're like, maybe not. I don't know. I feel like they could have maybe cut out that part, unless it was integral or something. I don't know.
I say leave it, dude. I think we're getting too sensitive around.
Yeah, we're too sensitive nowadays. Everybody's all PC and gets triggered off whatever.
No, that's a fair reason to get triggered. I'm gonna be honest. But
yeah, I mean, similarities aside, I mean, it's, you know,
when are they bringing DayZ to console? I think we've all been waiting for that. Like, I'm serious, dude. Could you imagine? Like, that needs to be at E3 at some point. That's my only disappointment.
But overall, Sony's conference, how do you feel?
I will say, like, I'll say 9 of 10, just because I don't want to be that guy, like 2 to 10, dude. Dude, like, it was amazing. Like, because it was amazing, and I really enjoyed it. But, you know, I think, like, no, it was amazing. I loved how they integrated live music.
Yeah, that was really
That
cool.
was just beautiful, dude.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I've seen anything like that for a game conference.
Yeah, I agree.
Except for when they did God of War, right? They did do something like that for one of the earlier ones.
Maybe I don't quite remember.
But not for like a whole conference like that. That was just
not the whole thing. Yeah,
that was just they truly believe in the theatrics of putting on a good show. I think that they did. I feel like, yeah, I would have loved to have seen some things that we didn't get to, but I mean, for what they did show, I'd say like a 9 of 10, dude. It was amazing.
Yeah. Sony conference for me, favorite of E3, blew me away. I love the format of it. I like you said, the live orchestra. That was an amazing touch. Many games, very little talking. I think that's the best way to do a conference where you're showcasing what you have to offer. Don't talk about it, show it. Let's see what's on the table, and they did exactly that. You know, old IPs getting resurrected, new IPs, lots of games. And for 2 years in a row, I feel like Sony's done really good. I felt like their conference last year was also really amazing. I forget so much about it that I don't know if I could say that this one was better, but at the very least, it was probably on par. Really good. I enjoyed it a lot. That was my favorite of the night, and that was probably my favorite out of all the three E3. So yeah, really good conference. I enjoyed it quite a bit.
We're proud of you, Sony. We love you.
Yeah, you grew up so fast. Last thing, E3 related, they really didn't have a conference. They more opted out this year, but they did have a thing, which was the Treehouse event, which is Nintendo. And for the most part, especially on that first day, really all they had to show was Pokemon Sun and Moon and Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild.
That looks sick.
Okay. So I'm just gonna like bypass Pokemon a little bit. I'm a fan of the series. I like it a lot. This one didn't really. I mean, little minute details seem to have improved from the last games in the series, but this isn't nothing revolutionary. Pokemon games year after year, pretty much the same thing.
Yeah.
with minor little things added onto it. I don't expect this to be anything revolutionary. However, being a fan of the series, I do intend to pick it up, and what they showed looked pretty good. So
Yeah.
not bad. The big thing though was that they showed Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild. So let's not too long. But what do you think about that?
I think it'll be neat. I think it's what
Mm,
Zelda needs. Not that it's like Zelda's not like I've yet to play a bad one. And I
hmm
say that very loosely because I didn't play Skyward Sword, so that could have
Right.
been. But it
A lot of
feels
people
oh
seem to not like that one that much. So
really?
yeah, I haven't played it either, so I can't say one way or the other. But yeah, I do know a lot of people that aren't a big fan of that.
It kind of looks like almost like Wind Waker Link grew up a little bit,
A little bit, yeah.
and
Kind of
it's in a
has some.
cleaner world.
hmm
Uh, you know, that's just the series I'll forever love.
mm
So even if it's not a great game, I think it'll still have lasting value because one, they're putting a lot of time into it. If you haven't noticed, like it's been talked about for quite a while now.
Right.
So I feel like they're gonna get it right.
Hopefully, yeah. I do think this is one of the things that the series has needed, much like we've talked about with a lot of other series. It needs a fresh take, a new format in order to kind of survive. So many of these games, outside of maybe Wind Waker, have been almost carbon copies of Ocarina of Time. Not much, I mean, pretty linear, not much different as far as gameplay is concerned or anything like that. Um, and Wind Waker with the open world aspect, I felt like was the one that took like a big step in another direction, but then they cut a little bit of flack for it. So then when they made Twilight Princess, they more tried to make it as close to Ocarina as possible.
Yeah.
And I feel like they've been kind of set in that format for a while now, just trying to, kind of copy off that so they don't stray too far, so they don't upset their fans. Um, However, this is a series that I feel keeps getting more and more stagnant and more stale with every game that they release. And I know that's just me. Again, these are opinions here. We all have them. But that's just kind of how I feel. I've not really been interested in the Zelda series, and I love it. I love Legend of Zelda. I really do.
Heck yeah,
One of my
dude.
favorite game series. I've had such a good time playing some of the games in the past. But the series needs something to, kind of kick it in the ass and light a fire under it so that it's something new. One of the key concepts was trying to make a modernized version of the original Legend of Zelda on the NES. And that one, if you ever played it, is very open world.
Yeah,
It's like
that
one
game
of the
is hard,
first
dude.
open worlds. Yeah, it's pretty hard. And you can also like choose where you want to go. You don't have to do the dungeons in a particular order. You could do it in any order you want. You might get your ass kicked, inwards if you decide to go one that's really late on. Um, but you can do it in whatever fashion you want, and that's one of the things in this game. You can go wherever you want. I think they said that you can go straight to Ganon's castle if you want to. You immediately start the game and you just run straight for it. Like, no, I'm beating this now. So that to me alone is just such an amazing thing to do to kind of open it up. And then just the customization aspect of it. This it almost looked like a Bethesda type game with the
Yeah,
amount of
like a
customization. So it kind of looked like an Elder Scrolls or something. And I just think that's so cool because that's something we haven't done pretty much at all
nope.
in a Zelda game, or at least at the very least to that extent. And then what else was there? Was like crafting elements and stuff, wasn't there?
I'm pretty sure, like to an extent, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So I mean, these are like whole new gameplay aspects, and I think this is kind of what the series needs at the moment.
You said it, man. It's
Yeah.
good.
So, um, I'm pretty excited for it. What they showed, I wasn't severely blown away, but I think it's really cool to see Zelda, kind of in this in a new format. And I don't know. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I was pretty impressed. I mean, for one game at what could arguably be called a conference, it wasn't bad. The next day they showed some more stuff. A lot of things for the 3DS.
Yeah.
Not a lot of it caught my attention. There was something like some Oasis game that looked kind of interesting, but otherwise I can't say that I was too interested in a lot of the stuff they showed there. I didn't catch all of it either. That was a really busy day for me, from what I remember, so I wasn't able to watch all of it. And I didn't really catch up on it, so there might be stuff I'm missing, but I don't know. The big thing, obviously, was Zelda, though, so... any more thoughts on Zelda or Nintendo?
No, I think that's all they really needed, honestly.
Pretty much, yeah.
Um,
We know Nintendo's kind of been middling, and they're really trying to get themselves back in order. I feel like.
yeah.
With the Wii, and they didn't show anything from the NX. A little bit disappointing, but I mean, I guess it's understandable. NX is coming out like in March next year.
Is that
Like
what
it
they
already
said?
has. Yeah, I think it already has like a release date. If not specifically to a month, then at least a quarter. They have like a quarter one of 2017. So we'll probably see some information pretty soon here. A little disappointing that we didn't see anything in E3. I think that would have been the time to do it, but hey, their decision, I guess. Other than that, I mean, not too much I could say about it. Zelda looked pretty cool, and Pokemon looked cool, and whatever that Oasis game looked all right. But yeah, I mean, pretty good for what it was. Wasn't really a full-blown conference, so I can't say too much about it, but yeah, it wasn't bad. And that's about it. Anything else?
No, I think we did a good job.
Okay. Yeah, we covered it pretty thoroughly, I think. Yeah, this is going to be a little bit on the longer side. Harkens back to like the initial couple podcasts we did. But that's all right. It's not a huge deal. But anyway, thank you guys for listening. I hope you enjoyed this special edition episode with highest quality pixels. That will be on the YouTube version.
Highest quality pixels, man.
Oh yeah,
The
sure,
highest quality
sure.
of pixels.
Yeah, you can't get much higher than this. As always, the episode will be for download. Probably broken up into like 8 parts on Bandcamp. And I'm gonna see. I think I'm gonna have to knock down 2 episodes on SoundCloud. So if you missed the first 2, sorry. That's just how it be now.
Should have ripped it. You should already
Yeah,
have
yeah, yeah. But they're there in one way or another. So either way, thank you guys for listening. I think that's gonna close it out for this episode. Anything else?
Nope.
Yeah, it's been a long one, but it's fun. E3 is always a special time of year for us, as game lovers as we are. So I think that's gonna be it. So why don't you send us out?
Thank you for watching eSpace with your host, Sid.
And Sev.
Goodbye.
We'll see you in the eSpace.